Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our offline video on the course Philosophies of Education. But before we are going further, may I request everyone to please get your modules or have a copy of your modules and ball pen for you to have something to write if you want to. Our lesson this afternoon is all about the four general world of philosophies. To begin with, let us have to discuss the following objectives for you to be guided accordingly. Number 1, to discuss the four general world of philosophy. Number 2, to discuss the schools, educational, and philosophical thought of Western philosophy. And the last one, to apply basic philosophies in our everyday life. Generally, we have four traditional Western philosophies, namely idealism, realism, pragmatism, and existentialism philosophy. This four general framework provides the root or the base from which the various educational philosophies are derived, and they are idealism philosophy, realism, pragmatism, and existentialism philosophy, respectively. Two of these philosophies, the idealism and realism, are derived from the ancient Greek philosopher, namely Plato and Aristotle. And pragmatism and existentialism are commonly a contemporary philosophies. However, educators who have shared one of these distinct sets of beliefs about the nature of reality presently apply each of these world philosophies in our classroom management and in the four corners of the classroom environment. Next slides. Specifically, we are going to discuss and explore each of these philosophy, yung apat kanina. But since due to limited time in this session, we are going to discuss the first one, the idealism philosophy, and its contribution to education. Specifically, we are discuss and explore each of these schools of thought one by one comprehensively. Moreover, we will discuss its contribution on educational systems, its nature, definition, proponent, curriculum contribution in teaching pedagogies, and others. To begin with, let's explore the idealism philosophy. Next slides. The definition and meaning of idealism. Idealism was often referred to as idea, and the suffixes ism, where idealists believe that ideas can change lives. The most important part of a person is in the human mind, the brain. Okay, everyone or everything that comes along our way, the one thing that will trigger us is our mind, the human mind or the brain. Idealism is a philosophical doctrine which holds that ideas are the only reality. In idealism philosophy, the only reality comes from the human mind. To discuss about what is meant by idealism philosophy, I would like you to listen attentively and panoorin nyo the short video clips discussed, which I was recorded and played for you to understand the concept and meaning of idealism philosophy. Wait. What is idealism? Idealism is a philosophical doctrine that idea are the only reality. Hence, for the idealist, there is no external reality, and that world is consists of ideas, and for this reason, the idealists argue that material things do not really exist.
In fact, for the idealist, material things are not real because they are mutable and destructible. This is because whatever that is mutable and destructible keeps on changing, and whatever that keeps on changing cannot be considered real. Only ideas, therefore, are real for the idealist because ideas they are mutable, indestructible. Idealism philosophies normally constructed ideas self-knowledge. A philosophical doctrine that supports the theory that material objects are independent of ideas as they exist. For the realist one, material objects are contrary to the contentions of the realist. The idealist associates reality and world rather than material. Hence, the mind for the idealist takes into reality, and that ideas are only permanent. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato was the well-known figure in the idealist philosophy. As it well known, Plato believed that the physical world is not real. As you can see, because the physical world constantly changes, one cannot really tell what it is. In his seminal work titled The Republic, Plato introduced the two kinds of world, namely the world of form or ideas and the world of mind. According to Plato, any material object that exists in the world of matter is just a copy of the object that exists in the world of form. Take for example a tree. For Plato, the tree that we experience in the world of matter is not real because it is mutable, destructible, and change. The real tree is the one that exists in the world of form. That is, the tree that exists on the level of ideas. Indeed, our conceptions of any material object, for example, actually is the form of pure materialism. In other words, the idea of a tree is, for Plato, the form of that tree. For Plato, again, that is the reality. In other words, just take a moment, see this question, and try to figure out your ideas.
Biglang naghina ang connection. This time, let's have to discuss the different proponents of idealism philosophy. When we say proponent, the different person or philosophers behind the success or behind the development of these schools or the idealism schools of philosophy. And they are the following: Plato, Socrates, Descartes, Kant, Hegel, Royce Bishop, George Berkeley, and others. But these six persons played a great part in the development of idealism philosophy. As we all know that Plato is known as the father of philosophy. In Fathers of Philosophy 400 years before Christ or BC, because of his well-known book entitled The Republic. Okay. Next is Descartes, Kant and Hegel contributes an idea in terms of philosophical pedagogies, and they contribute these lines. According to Hegel or Descartes, Kant and Hegel, sabi nila, I think, therefore I am. Yun yung linya nila. Kaya sila nabilong as proponents of philosophies. And to know more about this philosopher, let's have to discuss further in the next presentation, after discussing the different contribution of idealism under curriculum, teaching, students, classroom, and teachers. Let's proceed. This time, let's have to discuss the purpose or the aims of education in idealism philosophy. Okay. Ano yung role, ano yung aims or goals ng education sa idealism philosophy, or the purpose of education under idealism? Number 1, the purpose of education is to contribute to development of the mind and self of the teacher. Okay. Please highlights there in your notes yung sinabi ditong the development of mind and self of the learner. Okay, when we need to always emphasize the development, the progress in terms of product, in terms of performance of students, that is one of the aims of education under idealism philosophy. Sabihin, in idealism, we always seek for the truth, yung katotohanan. We always seek for the self-realization, and we also seek for the development of character. Number 2, it emphasizes intellectual activities, moral judgment, aesthetic judgment, self-realization, individual freedom, individual responsibility, and self-control in order to achieve this development. Ang dami-dami palang aims ng education under idealism philosophy. Isa na dito yung intellectual activities. When we say intellectual activities, the academic performance of the children, students in the different subject. Kung nag-excel ba sila sa math or English, kung hindi naman sila nag-excel, that is one of the concern of idealism philosophy in education. Moral judgment, the development of attitude, GMRC. Okay, edukasyon sa pagpapakatao. Aesthetic judgment. When we say aesthetic judgment, aesthetic means beauty. What is beauty if the brain is empty? Self-realization. Okay, when we are going to realize ourselves, sabi natin looking at the mirror, then mag-reflect, self-reflection ka. Individual freedom. Okay, every one of us has corresponding freedom. Baga may sarili kang mundo. That is isang in na idealism philosophy. And individual responsibility. Every one of us has different responsibility. Sabi lang, kapag may pananagutan ka, meron ka ding responsibilidad. Self-control in order to achieve the total development of the children. Next slide. Education outcome under idealism philosophy. A literate, when we say literate, well-known, may pinag-aralan. A literate person with good moral character in order to better serve the society. Okay, kapag nakapag-aral ka, literate, with values formation, character, then you will pretty sure serve the country. Ibig sabihin, kahit gaano ka ka-professional, gaano ka kagaling in teaching, pero pag ang ugali mo is wala, you could never serve the society better. The school, the education outcome in idealism philosophy, the school has responsibility to find and to train future leaders. Okay, isa sa mga one of the aspect or responsibility of the school is to develop and to train students to become a future leaders. The youth, sabi nga ni Jose Rizal, is the hope of the fatherland. In what aspect, sa anong aspekto na nakikita natin na ang teacher, ang school ay tinitrain ang mga bata or children to become good leader? Example, in certain classroom, we have the election of homeroom classroom officer, class officer, SPG, SSG, SBO. Those are one of the practices wherein nakikita natin that the school have to responsible in training students to become responsible leaders. Education should maintain and transmit of the established values of the past. It simply means, sabi nila, ang school is the second home of children. Pangalawang bahay ng mga bata. Meaning, what particular values formations that we could not learn at home, we need to learn this in the school. That education should maintain and have to transmit and establish values among children. The concept of students under idealism philosophy. Okay, the concept of students under idealism philosophy. The idealistic pupil is characterized by that admirable trait, that is trait, the will of perfection, or the will to perfection. Ideal students should always seek for perfection. Ibig sabihin, kapag ang bata ayaw tanggapin magkamali siya, gusto niyang siyang laging tama, ibig sabihin ideal siya. The idealistic or idealist person. He is ambitious to deserve honors in scholarship. An ideal person or idealism or idealist individual should always deserve to be an honor student. Ambitious. Okay. Total, libre man din ang mangarap, kaya mag-ambisyon ka na lang. Students wants to grow in knowledge and wisdom, to appreciate the aesthetic things in life, to deserve approbation, and to be a worthy of individual. Those children, yung mga bata or every individual, children or students should always seek for attention, should always seek that they deserve better. Yun bang palapansin, baka siya na lang palagi nakikita dapat. Those are the characteristics of idealist person or ideal person. Dapat kung may nagawa siyang mali or nagawa siyang tama, dapat i-appreciate siya because he deserved to be recognized. Next, another concept of students under idealism is they strives for perfection because the ideal person is perfect. Sabi ko kanina yan. Okay. The concept of teachers, the role or concept of teachers under idealism philosophy. Teachers must be Next, the concept of teachers under idealism, schools of thought. Teachers must be excellent. Ibig sabihin, teachers should always see themselves as perfect one, an excellent one. To train learners on perfection, gagawin ng lahat para maging tama ang mga bata. To train learners to get or achieve the highest grades, to got perfect in their corresponding scores or subject, and that is one of the characteristics or the role of teachers under idealism philosophy. Teachers should excel in knowledge and in human insights because the needs and capacities of them because they need to emphasize the needs and capacities of students or learners. They need to excel in knowledge and in human insight. Always promotes that children has something to do, believe in their potential, believe in themselves, believe in their ideas. Dapat ma-achieve na nila yun. nag-excel sila in a particular subject areas. Another, teacher should demonstrate moral excellence. Ibig sabihin, moral values. Dapat laging mabait si teacher, child-friendly si teacher sa school because they are the one in authority to demonstrate moral excellence towards learning, towards values formation or moral development of children. Next, teachers should always exercise great creative skills. Okay, teachers should always teach children to be creative in a particular fields of interest. Diba? Pag magaling siya sa draw, a teacher should train them in that particular areas. Another, teacher serves as a living ideal model for the student. Dapat teacher is the model. Ibig sabihin, siya yung model ng lahat ng tamang gagawin. Kasi kapag mali yung model mo, ginagawa mo, ibig sabihin, gagayahin ng mga estudyante mo. Pero pag sabi nilang si sir, ala si sir, si ma'am, magaling masyado. Si sir, si ma'am is itong ginagawa. Ala si sir, nakita kong ganito ganun. Tapos paano siya naging ganyan? Ang taas pa naman ang tingin ko kay sir, kay ma'am, bakit siya ganun? Okay? Nagre-reflect din sa mga bata. Yun yung sabi natin, as teachers under idealism philosophy should serve as living ideal model for the students. Okay. Generally, in teaching, sa pagtuturo, teacher's role is to be a skillful questioner. Ibig sabihin, the role of teachers in the classroom or in idealism philosophy is to ask questions. Ask a provoking questions like higher order thinking skills na mga tanong. Example, what if there is no sun? Ano kaya maging possible mangyari pag walang araw? And the learner, the student should think critically to reason out. Kumbaga, nag-brainstorm sila using their minds. These are hot questions. And yun yung role ng teacher is to ask different questions under idealism classroom. Next, the idealism curriculum. Okay, pag may idealism classroom, may idealism curriculum. Okay, the curriculum under idealism are the following. Curriculum teaches children to think. Isa sa mga questions sa sinasali sa curriculum natin or pagsabi natin curriculum is the standards, yung guideline na sinusunod ng mga teacher or isang school para mag-operate, para makapagturo. Okay, kagaya sa atin, isang curriculum natin is K-12. Yung kung ano yung nakapasaad sa curriculum na K-12 yung susundin. Example na dito, mga different subject areas, may ESP, dati GMRC, ngayon ESP na, and so many other subjects na dinagdag sa ating curriculum. And ito yung mga subjects or ideas under idealism curriculum. The ideal curriculum teaches children to think. Okay, in what particular subject areas na kailangan talaga mag-isip ang mga bata? Usually sa science, sa math. Okay, dyan, nag-iisip talaga sila dyan. Kailangan na mag-isip to think. Teachers should help students to explore text for ideas. Okay, yung mga open and ended questions, pagpapaliwanag, tawag dyan, discussion, explanation, yun na yun siya. Idealist believes that ideas can change lives. Okay, talaga, pag makapag-isip ka, when you have that kinds of decision making na very effective, talagang magbabago kung ano yung pamumuhay ng bawat isa. Ideal curriculum selects subject matter that deals with ideal man and ideal society. Meaning, in particular, under idealism curriculum, they select corresponding subjects that is very much needed, yung bang suited sa particular society. Example, kapag ang isang lugar, halimbawa sa itong senior high school natin ba, halimbawa sa isang lugar, kailangan talaga nila ng ang kanong kailangan na subject doon, yun talagang i-offer. Kung malawak ang lupain, i-offer sila ng sa senior high nila ng SCP, crop production. Never nilang i-offer ang STEM kasi walang mga aparatos. Paano na lang? That is, the needs of the society ang inaano ng idealism curriculum. Idealists rely on the world of mind. Their curriculum has little contact with experiential universe. Okay, dapat pag-iisip sa mind. Never sila sa mga field trips or experiential universe ng curriculum. Next, as the curricular emphasis is subject matter of mind, literature, history, philosophy, and religion. Ino-offer talaga ng idealism curriculum itong sabi nilang social sciences. Pag sabi natin social sciences, itong psychology, philosophy, history, literature, religion, ano pang ibang mga social science, foundation of education, family planning, something like that. Next slide. Let's continue discussing the lesson. Instructional methodology used under idealism schools of philosophy. All thinking begins with opinion. All thinking begins with a thesis or opinions where all points of view are looked at. Okay, as you can see, when we do more time to think, different opinions or different ideas comes out in our mind. Part 2. It's dialectic. When we say dialectic, two persons or two groups of persons have to try to defend themselves to process wherein it is the process wherein two or more ideas battle against each other. Example nito yung dialectic is the debate, argument sa abogado, sa Senate, wherein certain clients or certain defender defend themselves in particular issues. The ideas or opinions will begin to synthesize as they work closer to the truth. Okay. Yung mga abogado natin, the lawyers, begins to synthesize, begin to organize, begins to gather data in a particular case in order to come up with nice decision in that particular issues or problem. Knowledge can be attained through skillful questioning. Under idealism schools of philosophy, knowledge or having that kinds of knowledge or being knowledgeable enough, example, teachers should knowledgeable enough in asking questions. Kasi kung may magtanong ang estudyante tapos hindi niya masagot na something, problema, criticism is nandoon. Idealist education involves teaching the whole rather than its part. Okay. According to Gestalt psychology, dapat before we are going to come up with a particular world of particular whole, rather hihimayin mo yung mga different kinds of parts. Ibig sabihin, in gathering data, mag-start ka dun sa broad to specific, ibig sabihin to complex to specific. Ibig sabihin, parang isang tahanan, sa isang bahay, nabuo na yung bahay, ngunit bago yan siya nabuo, inorganize mo na yung different parts. Another methodology. Idealist education involves teaching, to have a broad view and understanding of the world in which they live. Okay. The universe we live in, we need to understand. The world we live in, we need to understand. Our environment, our kasamahan, peer, groups, classmates, and others. We need to understand their nature. We need to learn more sa kung anong maganap sa buhay nila, because that is the only way in order for us to have a broad view and understanding of their environment. Next, Idealism emphasizes the role of the teachers as skillful questioner. Okay, in idealist school, teachers were given an opportunity, an authority inside the classroom. Okay? Sabi nga ng iba, ng mga bata ba, mas pinaniniwalaan pa si teacher kaysa sa mother. Sabi ng mother, sabi ng teacher na nagbasa ang bata, sabi ng bata sa bahay, practice reading, sabi ng bata, capacity, sabi na, pagbasa niya ng capacity, capacity. Tapos sabi ng parents, anak, mali yan, it should be capacity, not capacity. Mang, ikaw ang mali, sabi ka ni teacher, capacity. See? Mas paniniwalaan pa talaga yung teacher kaysa sa parents. And that is, teacher played a big part in the development. Kaya dapat si teacher magaling, skillful, intelligent enough, model. Next, the lecture method is an idealist education system. In a particular classroom, teachers employ this kind of teaching strategies, yung lecture method. Idealists prefer project-based learning as a form of self-learning, of self-directed learning. Itong ginagawa natin na self-learning module, itong pagbibigay ng module sa mga bata, isa yan siya sa mga techniques or pamamaraan na ginagawa ng idealism school. Kaya self-learning module, yung SLM, towards a self-directed learning. Next, some common criticism of this philosophy sa idealism. Sa idealism, pag sabi kasing, hala, si sir, magaling masyado. Hala, si sir, lahat ng nasa sa kanya na. Ngunit, particularly, as an individual, as a person in general, kinikriticize din although nasa perfect ka. Ibig sabihin, perfectionist type kasi ang idealism schools. Okay, these are the following criticism that we're going to address under idealism schools of philosophy. Number 1, sets unobtainable goals. Okay. Kumbaga, kapag may goals tayo na hindi pa natin na-achieve, kasi perfectionist ang ang idealism. Pag sabi ko, anong idea ko, anong gusto niya, dapat na-achieve niya. Ngayon, kapag hindi niya ma-achieve yun, ito na ang problema, criticism. Number 2, ignores the physical self. Okay. Sabi, physical self, ignores. Sa physical, beauty. We say more on mind. Sabi nga din sa mga, what is beauty if the brain is empty? Okay, aanhin mo ang ganda, sabi sa realism kasi ganda. Sa idealism, brain. Diba nako-contradict talaga sila. Ignores the physical self. Gaano ka naman kaganda kung ang ugali mo, ang attitude mo, may something, may sayad, wala rin. Gaano ka naman din kaganda kung mismo tanungin kang what is your best assets in life, hindi mo masagot. See, walang brain. Okay. Ignores the physical self. Number 3, de-emphasize experience. Okay. Kasi de-emphasize experience, mas nangingibabaw pa rin yung the only reality comes in a mind, sabi. Ibig sabihin, experience naman, that is sa area naman yan ni pragmatist, experientialism or experiential learning. Pragmatist school yan, pragmatism. Ibig sabihin, ayaw ni de-emphasize experience. It is not really the focus of idealism school, itong experience. Next, leads to totalitarianism. Some of the critics of idealism is that it discourages the progress of science and our modern discovery. Okay. Ibig sabihin, there are some critics of these schools towards the development of the science and the modern discoveries of sciences. Next, emphasize humanities. Humanities-oriented outlook may lead to rejection of the whole concept of a technological society which is mechanistic and scientifically oriented. emphasize humanities. When we say we need to look into the consideration, human consideration, we need to consider the situation of a particular object. Isa yan sa mga criticism under idealism schools. Next, overlooks possibility of errors. Ito yung sabi natin, sa 10 tamang ginawa mo, tapos sa 9 na tama na ginawa mo, tapos isa lang yung mali, na-overlook yung possibility of number of errors. It fails to take into account the possibility that it may be in error. This is especially true of idealism since its truth is immutable and unchanging. Errors. According to this, it fails to take into account the possibility that it may be in error. This is especially true of idealism since truth is immutable and changing. Just take for example, the following situation. Out of 10, you committed 1 mistakes, then 9 the correct one. And then napapansin yung isa pang ginawa nating mali. It overlooks possibility of errors. Simply means that kind of particular errors, pag may nagawang mali, nagmamark na yan, nagkaroon na siya ng mark, and that particular mark will never be unchanged, will never be immutable, and that is unchanging. No more time to correct that wrongness. And therefore, a major critics of philosophies of education under idealism schools, it overlooks possibility of errors. Okay. If you have some questions, just post your questions in our messenger Facebook page so that you could answer that immediately. And for our online class activity 6, discuss, elaborate, and answer the following statement or questions comprehensively. 10 points each. The more number of words, the better. Okay? No word limit for your discussion. Remember to write your answers in a Word file. Then please rename that one in a corresponding format that was given to you. Last name, then /OLC activity 6. Okay. Again, write your answers in a Word file, then upload it in our Facebook page and rename it before uploading. The questions are the following. What is knowledge according to idealists? Number 2, differentiate the role of students and teachers in idealism schools. Number 3, discuss the purpose of education and according to idealism philosophy. Before I'm going to end my presentation, let's have to share this wisdom from Aristotle, and I quote, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit." Good luck and keep learning, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.